Knew there was a problem was Mike Slater. He lives in California, San Diego to be specific, and in one of those counties that is pushing back against this sanctuary state philosophy. Mike Slater joins us right now. Mike, what do you hope from the Mike Slater Show on radio? What do you hope is accomplished today at the White House?
Well, listen, I'm glad the president's doing this. Everyone knows that California is completely out of control, but there is this little conservative bastion on the border that is San Diego County. And as you said, the county voted to join the federal lawsuit suing the state against these policies. There's also a city in San Diego County, Escondido, which has an immigrant mayor and a heavy immigrant population who also joined the federal government in fighting sanctuary policies. So it is so encouraging to see the president meet with these local leaders who just want, as Sarah said, order at the border and some sanity to our laws.
Well,
go ahead, please.
Well, I was going to say, Mike, we had the mayor of Los Alamitos is going to the White House today, and the president said, hey, come and tell us a story about what's going on in your town. And he said his story was going to be just the fact that we are trying to respect the law of the land. The laws will be enforced in Los Alamitos, despite what your pals up in Sacramento have to say.
Well, they're not enforced in San Diego. I'll give you an example. So far this year, there's been 800 illegal immigrants released from our jails, and 350 of them were released without telling ICE that they were being released, which means they go back out into our communities. And this is the thing that frustrates me the most, how Democrats get some sort of credit for being so compassionate, but they're not. So there was an ICE operation recently. They were looking for 400 criminal illegal immigrants. They found 110 of them, but many of them were not on the original list. They're called collateral arrests. So they knock on a door looking for one illegal immigrant criminal, and there may be 3 other otherwise law-abiding illegal immigrants there that they also now round up and deport. So the Democrats are putting all these other people at risk when all we want to do is find the people who are being released from jail already and deport them.
Yeah. All right.
Right. Mike, in particular, there's something else going on, and people seem to be getting it backwards, in my humble opinion, and that is the historic move of our embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. At the same time this is happening, there are Palestinians rioting at the border, at the fence. 60 lost their lives during this, including a couple of children, which you got to wonder about parents bringing children to a riot. But how do you explain the way the media seems to have taken Hamas's side?
Yeah, it's really shameful. I love the clip you guys played earlier of Alan Dershowitz calling this the dead baby strategy. It's such a shame, and you have to have a really twisted perspective to lift up Hamas terrorists as victims here. Let me just say one thing about this in general. There's a lot of groups of people around the world that want their own state. The Kurds and the Tibetans come to mind. And the Kurds and Tibetans have a greater claim to statehood than the Palestinians, but they don't get a lot of attention. Why not? Because they're not a bunch of terrorists, and they're not killing people to get attention like the Palestinians are. So every time the media lifts up these terrorist actions, they're only encouraging more. And now we're hearing news that maybe this 9-month-old who passed away had unrelated illnesses, and it wasn't related to tear gas. Israel has a right to defend itself from terrorists, period.
All right. Well, speaking of the media, a lot of people, a lot of our viewers, big fans of Roseanne on ABC. It's now being set up for season 2, and we're hearing that it's going to be less political next season. It's going to be more family-oriented. Take a listen to some of the best moments from last season.
Yeah.
I should have tried to understand why you voted the crazy way that you did.
And I should have understood that, you want the government to give everybody free health care because you're a good-hearted person who can't do simple math.
I know why you gave Mark a knife. It's to turn him into your version of a boy.
First of all, I didn't know there were that many versions.
We're from Yemen.
Oh, good. Yemen's not even on the travel ban list.
Yes, it is.
Mike, the reason people love this show is because it represents so many families where, I mean, I come from a huge family. You have many that disagree or have different political feelings about things. And this is so refreshing to have on television. Why take the politics out of it when it's the one thing that I think this country probably needs more of?
Yeah, I love that. And it's because ABC is a bunch of cowards. I mean, that's the network that got rid of Tim Allen's Last Man Standing, right? Yep. So even any semblance of conservatism can't be allowed. But all that being said, a message to conservatives, be careful making Roseanne Barr the torchbearer of conservative
She can hold her
values.
own. That's right.
Well, she's not a conservative, right? She ran for like Green Party candidate, all that. But so be careful with that. Although some of these scenes in the show are pretty funny.
But she does like Donald Trump. She has embraced a lot of his methodology and his persona, and that's one of the reasons why 27 or 30 million people watched the first couple of episodes. I think ABC's making a big mistake to dial back the political humor to make it more family-oriented, if that's the reason people were watching it.
A more ignoring of the entire middle of the country. There's a huge divide in our country, and it's a geographical and cultural divide. And Hollywood and New York City are just ignoring everyone in the middle, which your audience, our audience right here, is mostly people in the middle of the country, good-hearted people who just want to laugh at this country.
And you're talking to us from the West Coast, and we're talking to you from the East Coast, saying, what about what's in between?
What about the middle? Well, we'll see how season 2 goes, but as of
right.
now, it's a great show. We'll see what happens.
He's going to be the first one in at work today. Mike Slater from the Mike Slater Show out in Southern California. Mike, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right, over to Jillian for some more headlines this morning. Hey, Jillian.
That's right. Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. Let's get you caught up starting here. The fight against OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma intensifying as 6 more states sue the company. State attorneys general from Nevada, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, North Dakota, and Tennessee saying the company deceptively marketed prescription opioids to generate billions of dollars in sales. Florida AG Pam Bondi says enough is enough.
This just had to be done. You know, these